It indeed
So
is.
don't move to Munich because it's like too beautiful. It's too close to the mountains.
That it is, yeah.
I mean,
Too close. It's
Italian food is the worst. It's just Italy is almost too close.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, don't come to Munich.
What else?
Four beautiful, diverse
Switzerland
seasons.
is also pretty close.
Ugh, yeah, but so expensive.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna move to Germany, definitely Frankfurt.
Frankfurt is your place.
Yes, go there.
Yeah.
Berlin. Just not Munich.
Yeah. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Pod Abroad. My name is Paulina de los Santos, and just for some context, I'm an American who has lived in Munich, Germany the last 8.5, almost 9 years. So it's been a while, and in this podcast, I have conversations with my friends and speak about the immigrant experience and just life living abroad and share our perspectives on anything and everything. So today I am with my friend Anika.
Hey guys.
Yeah, and just some background, we met on the TikTok. Crazy.
We sure did.
And we're real life friends now. That was, I think, like 2-ish years ago.
I think it was actually like 3 because as long as you've been living where you live now, I think we realized like through TikTok that we lived in the same neighborhood or lived really close. So, yeah.
I love that. It's not often, right, that like you just make friends from strangers online and the time has flown by.
Truly. It has.
So, Anika, can you give everyone just a short little intro to who you are, like where you're from?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, hey guys, as Paulina said, my name is Anika. I've been living in Munich now for the past 7 years. I'm an American, as I'm sure you can hear by this beautiful accent that I can't seem to get rid of. But my mom's actually German, and I grew up in Belgium, military background. And yeah, that's sort of who I am, and very happy to be here today.
Thanks. In a nutshell, could you tell everybody like what your journey was to living in Germany?
Sure. So having been German and growing up with a German mother, I'd actually never lived in Germany before. And I just had this kind of identity crisis. Like, I'm American, I'm German. And at the time I was living currently in America, I went to a college in Boulder, Colorado, and then I moved to Denver. And then I still felt like there was a part of me that just didn't know this other half of me, as I'm half German, half American. So I really wanted to understand my German roots, and a job over here opened up. I applied for it. I have no idea how I got the job, considering they needed someone that spoke fluent German.
You went for it.
Yeah, I went for it. I do have a background in sales, so dare I say I'm good at it, because I got a job I was completely unqualified for and moved over here. And yeah, the rest is history. It's been 7 years.
I love that. And I'm sure they love you.
Yeah.
I mean, 7 years, that's quite a long time at a job.
10 years with the company.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's super impressive. Being that you are half German and half American, what would you say are like the best part? Like, what is like the best American part of you and the best German part?
I would say the best American part of me is, I think, and I don't think this is, obviously when I say this, I'm speaking generally. But I think
blanket terms,
yes,
in general.
We will be stereotyping and generalizing. So I do think Americans don't take themselves too seriously. And that's something I really like about myself. In contrast to, I think, Germans culturally, there's a really big emphasis on perfectionism, and that's just how the schooling system works. I do think, from the something I just love about being an American is we like to just make fun of ourselves, laugh, don't take things too seriously. Yeah, so that's the American part that I love about myself.
And then the German.
The German side,
you're like, that one's a hard one.
I think Germans have, unfortunately, and it's not true at all because I love it here and I love the people here. They're incredible. Unfortunately, there's so many negative stereotypes about Germans that just are simply not true. But I actually think the German side is I'm a really good friend and I'm very accountable. And all the Germans I've met, it's just when they say they're going to do something, they do it. Like if you make plans with them in 3 months on a certain day, they will be there. And if they're not, they'll tell you. Whereas something in Americans, maybe because we don't take ourselves too seriously, it's very often that, you know, you'll just say like, oh, yeah, let's get a drink. But like it never happens. So I love that Germans, when they say that, they actually mean it. And it's very actionable.
I love that.
Yeah.
We love accountability.
Yes.
Right?
We do.
And I want to jump into like the first segment, which is all about travel. We did meet on TikTok, and you now have a little thriving TikTok and Instagram community, a lot like centered around travel, and then a bit about like life in Munich, eats, and things
love to eat,
do.
love to travel.
I love that. On the topic of travel, where has been the place that's just like you can't forget? It was just like unforgettable, best trip you've taken.
Oh, gosh. I mean, I would say probably one that is a little like a hidden gem, and I almost don't even want to say it because it's just so perfect and it's close to Munich, is Slovenia.
Really?
Slovenia is just, whenever I go there, we've been twice now, 2 times like for like 2 separate road trips, and it's just somewhere that I feel really at peace and comforted, and it's just so... The nature is just, I call it the affordable Switzerland. So Slovenia is probably that place for me.
How far was it from Munich, like driving?
It's 4.5 hours.
That's not bad at all.
Yeah. So it's very accessible and very affordable.
Underrated?
Oh, yeah. Probably not as much now or in the future because people are discovering it. But it's incredible there, and the people are so amazing, and the food, it's like a mix of Italian food and kind of like Mediterranean. Have you been?
Oh, I've always wanted to. I mean, 4.5 hours when you're talking about that, like in Texas time. Yeah. It's not a lot. Yeah. That's like, that's a weekend trip.
Literally. Yeah.
And I need to put that into perspective. Like there's so many places from Munich that I still haven't seen.
Oh, yeah. That's why we're still here, because every summer, we're always like, oh man, there's all these places we want to see. Like every time we've thought about moving, we're like, if we moved, we would somehow feel like we haven't quite seen everything we wanted to see.
And how many years have you been here?
Yeah, so this April 30th will be 7.
Crazy. And I love that. Like that's the mentality that you're like, it's been 7 years and we haven't seen everything we want to see.
Yeah.
And that's like life living here, because like travel
in Munich as well.
Travel's different. It's not like you're going to see like 10 countries in 10 days.
Totally. I mean, although I think if I was still living in America, I would probably attempt visiting 10 countries in 10 days.
Like to each their own. I get it.
Yeah.
Like it's just a different lifestyle.
Yeah, you just cram it all in because you just don't have any other option. It's far.
I can respect it too. It's just a different style. Speaking of styles, what kind of travelers are you and your husband James? Like how has it evolved?
I would say, yeah, we're pretty, like, I would say we're kind of like bougie on a budget. Travelers. We like to stay in really nice hotels because we have this thing that we say to ourselves, like, why would I go on vacation to stay in something worse than that I currently live in?
Ooh.
So I've done that
one too many times.
Yeah. So I think since moving to Europe, especially because everything's so accessible, and like nice hotels here don't cost what they cost in the US. Like travel in the US is just so, it's not accessible for the average middle class person, whereas travel in Europe is accessible for everyone. So yeah, we're definitely like bougie on a budget. Like we'll stay in a really nice hotel that has like this gorgeous breakfast, but then we'll stay like at the breakfast for hours and really like get our money's worth. And then, then we probably don't need a other massive meals throughout the day. Yeah, I'd say that's kind of the travelers we are. What about you and Tim?
Oof, dude, we're travelers. And I think actually now that I'm like thinking about semantics and words, there's such a difference between like traveling and vacationing. And I think you guys have like proper, lovely vacations. Because sometimes I feel like I'm missing that. Like Tim and I will go somewhere with entirely good intentions, of course, but we're going to travel.
Yeah.
And we're going to like go see places. And obviously like when you're going to a country for the first time, like you're so excited and like, you want to see everything.
See it all.
But I love the idea of like going to some place or going back to some place. So you don't feel that anxiety of like, I need to see places.
Exactly.
Like for the familiarity of like returning to a place and like sitting your ass down and just like the vacation in Greece that you had where you told me that you read so many books.
That was amazing. We haven't been like, that was a 2-week vacation. The first week was just like go everywhere, see everything. The second week was we literally stayed at one hotel for 8 days and had the same like, and it was a combination and it was just so nice. But we're like, we want to go back and do that for like 2 weeks. Like we don't want to do the crazy part because it was just so relaxing. And yeah, it's one of those vacations we actually didn't need a vacation from when we returned.
That's the dream, right?
Yeah.
So many times I've come back and I'm just like dead. But feeling fulfilled. So like it just, right? It depends on like what the goal is.
Totally. And I think we definitely do a mix of vacations. I mean, we were just in the UK over Christmas and every day we had a plan. We were with tons of small children. I also got sick. Of course, everyone's sick right now. Like I think there's a bug going across Europe and everyone has it. So yeah, obviously traveling when sick is not ideal. Would not recommend it.
But you can also claim back your sick leave days.
This is
in
true.
Germany,
this is true. I didn't do it for December because I was like, the rules with bringing like, at least at my company, you have to use up those days. You can only bring a certain number of carryover days over. And it would have just been too complex to take those days back. But yeah, in theory, you can actually like claw back your holidays, your PTO.
It's a dream.
If you're sick. With the doctor's note. So that's really nice. But yeah, I did do that before in the US as well. Same employer. So I think it just sort of depends on your manager at the end of the day.
How do you think, like you touched a bit upon some differences like between the US and like how like we get it. Like when they come to Europe and like they want to see it like as much as they can because like they don't have a lot of time off.
Yeah.
How do you think or how has travel differed for you living in the US, because you were a student at one point, and then you were working full-time at one point, and now you're working full-time in Germany. Like, what did travel look like for you when you were in the US?
Oh, gosh. I feel like just yesterday, so my husband's in the US right now, and of course, it's making us sort of, like, be nostalgic about past times and the kind of vacations that we used to do. First of all, like, most of our friends don't, like they don't go on a ton of vacations. They'll go on a camping trip over the weekend. And that's sort of like what we would do. It was when we try to remember back to our time living in Denver together for 4 years, we went on maybe like 1-2 vacations. Whereas like here we're doing 1 or 2 vacations within a couple months.
Yeah.
It's just constant here, which is amazing. But there, I remember a couple years out of college, I was working full time. I think it was Labor Day weekend. And my friends and I, we just decided to drive 11 hours to Jackson Hole and spend
adventurous
3 days camping.
Wow.
And we did this like over a long week, like a 3-day weekend.
11 hours is insane.
Yeah, but it seemed like nothing. And so now, if I'm driving 11 hours, I'm staying somewhere for at least a week.
A week.
At least. And if it's like, even here, it's like with an extra day of a weekend, I'm just like, oh, well, where would I go? I'm staying here.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to deal with the traffic. I don't want to deal with the prices, like just hotel prices being sky high. So it's like, I think we really just, I don't know, make the most of the time off. And there, it's just like a day. It was like, yeah, I mean, all the short trips we did. Exhausting. I do think that the way that, I mean, of course, another generalization, But travel as an American living in America with the culture around vacation and travel, it's like, it's exhausting.
Yeah.
So.
It's always like pretty brief.
Yes.
Right? Understandably so. Like with the amount of vacation days they have.
Brief and expensive.
That too. Oh my gosh.
Aside from gas. Gas is cheaper.
Insanely expensive, right?
Yeah. Did you do any of those short hauls?
When I think about that, I mean, I did a few road trips as a student, but like I stayed in Texas. Like the years that I was a student, like I wasn't even vacationing in other states.
Yeah.
Like
granted, it takes you like hours upon hours to get through the state.
So I was just, I mean, I once did like an epic road trip from Texas with 2 friends to the Grand Canyon, like during spring break.
Wow.
We had a choice.
That's
whether
fun.
like we'd go to like
South Padre.
Florida or South Padre and like get trashed, or do like the earthy nature vibe. And that's what we went with. And it was very cool. But other than that, like when I think about that, like, I mean, you're also a student. I was not like doing these elaborate trips or anything. And even if I was working full time, like which I did a bit before I moved to Germany, like there was just no time.
Yeah. It's just a different, and not only no time, but trying to find friends that would want to go do it was really hard.
Yeah.
So that changed everything when we moved here. It's just like, wow, people have time, they travel. And not that the salaries are any higher. In fact, they're probably lower and income tax is higher. So it's just more accessible.
Yeah. And I find it hard that like, not hard. I find it interesting that a lot of people in the US think that travel has to look a certain way and that like travel is inherently always expensive.
Yeah.
Like that you need to like actually be buying designer purses like when you go to Paris, and that like your 1 week trip to Paris like needs to cost like $4,000.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that's crazy. Because
I mean, I don't blame them for buying designer purses in Paris, because honestly, the price difference is insane, and they get taxes. They like get the tax taken off. So not only like one Louis Vuitton purse in the US might be like $2,600.
Yeah.
And in Europe, it might be $1,900, and then they also get additional tax taken off. So I don't blame.
You're really selling that.
I don't blame them for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's just a different way of looking at it. That like I think people think like, oh, I could never travel because like it just costs like thousands and thousands. But like it doesn't necessarily have to.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, James and I, we always say like, you know, if you're living in the US, I mean, the biggest actually cost is the flight.
Yeah.
Whereas we like living in Munich, we can drive everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's just the proximity to so many amazing places is just, yeah, it's one of the many reasons I love living here.
Let's sell it. How would you sell Munich? Like someone's like, oh, I want to move to Germany. Why should they move here in our beautiful city of Munich?
I don't want to convince them to, because our rent is already too high.
It is. It indeed is.
So don't move to Munich because it's like too beautiful. It's too close to the mountains.
That it is, yeah.
I mean,
too close. It's
Italian food is the worst. It's just Italy is almost too close.
It is.
So yeah, I mean, don't come to Munich.
What else?
Four beautiful, diverse
Switzerland
seasons.
is also pretty close.
Ugh, yeah, but so expensive.
Yeah.
So if you're going to move to Germany, definitely Frankfurt.
Frankfurt is your place.
Yes, go there.
Yeah.
Berlin. Just not Munich.
Yeah. The beer here, terrible.
I'm not a beer drinker, but I do love every fest that is around beer.
Yeah.
I love the vibe. So that I do.
No, but the Oktoberfest is also terrible.
Oh, yeah. It's no fun.
You don't want to see it.
I never go.
Nope.
Dressing up for it is such a pain.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just definitely don't come to Munich.
The dresses don't make you feel like a beautiful princess.
No.
Not at all.
Nope. Munich is the worst. Don't
move here.
Don't consider it.
Yeah. No, I love that. On the topic of like finding places to go to, traveling, who is planning? And how do you find the flights? Is it like a combination? Like, are you planning a trip like alone and your husband James is just like, okay, yeah, sure. And you switch off? Or are you doing it together?
Oh, gosh. We are like, I'm so thankful that he's into it as well, because it's like a fun task that we do together. Like I mean, really, he's in charge of hotels.
Yeah.
And sort of like the general itinerary. I use Skyscanner typically for flights.
You're still using it.
I'm still using it. I've heard
Is it popping
Google.
off?
I've heard Google Flights is good.
Yeah.
But I'm still a Skyscanner girl.
Ooh.
I don't know.
Cool.
But to be fair, like we have also just tried maximizing on like places we can drive.
Yeah.
Because then we can have our stuff. And yeah. Also just being pregnant, we're thinking like this summer that we'll probably just drive more places than fly.
Yeah.
Just because it's easier and all the stuff, etc. Like we're already, wanting to go to Italy, Lake Garda, etc. But yeah, we are like a mad couple when we're planning a trip. It's super fun. We just, sit on the couch on a Sunday, find like 3 hours of time where we can really just start doing research, start thinking about where we want to be, what kind of vacation do we want to have? Do we want to have a relaxing one? Do we want to see lots of stuff? What kind of budgets do we want to be spending on these trips? And then I always do the restaurants. So the restaurants are my thing. I'm like a foodie. I love eating good food. And usually I'm almost always finding a good place. And James is almost always finding a great hotel. Obviously, we don't always. So this is just like 90% of the time, not all the time. So we have had our mess ups over the years. But typically, both of us do pretty well finding restaurants and hotels. But...
And you just mentioned you're expecting your baby girl. Yeah. Congrats. That's so exciting. What does travel look like for you and James? Gosh. Yeah, going forward as a family of 3.
Oh, man. I think a lot of that will remain to be seen.
Yeah. You said driving more?
Yeah, we definitely want to drive more. That's if the baby enjoys being in cars. Maybe she'll hate them. Maybe we'll just spend a summer in Munich, which is totally fine, even though it's terrible here. Do not move here. But yeah, I think a lot of travel will be probably more local.
Yeah.
Although I do kind of have a dream of like going to Tokyo because I can't eat sushi during pregnancy. So I'm obviously really craving it and craving sashimi. And apparently Japan, they're really like family friendly there with children.
Wow.
So I've never been there. Would love to go. So yeah, potentially Japan. And then, probably some more local places, Lake Garda and maybe Slovenia again. I think a lot of it will just sort of remain to be seen on how the baby is, how that works, how, I'm praying that she's a great sleeper. So that will probably determine a lot.
It's like the song, The Rest is Still Unwritten.
Pretty much, yeah. Natasha Bedingfield.
Yeah, shout out. Yeah. So I want to kind of go into the next segment of your life growing up in a multiculti household, which in German, just for some reference, that's multicultural. I love that little abbreviation, multiculti.
Yeah.
I've always found it so cute.
Yeah, it is cute.
We don't say that in English, right? Multiculti.
No.
It sounds wrong in
sounds
English.
like cult.
Multiculti.
Sounds like a cult.
Multiculti.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
It's probably a reason that doesn't exist.
Right? You're half American, half German, like you said. And you grew up on a U.S. base in Belgium.
So not actually a base. We lived off base. There actually was no option to live on the base. So growing up in Brussels, Belgium, I was born in the U.S., but then 2 weeks later I moved to England and I lived there until I was 5. But I consider Belgium my home because I lived there pretty much from like the age of 5 till I went to university when I was 18. So I do consider Belgium my home. And growing up in a multicultural, multiculti household was really interesting because, there's certain like traditions that I grew up with or like meals. Like I grew up eating a lot of German meals.
Oh, really?
Yeah. My mom and my Oma is Austrian. So she and my Oma actually lived with us for 12 years growing up.
I'm learning so much. That's special.
Yeah. So my Oma lived with us and she was Austrian. So she cooked a lot of, local dishes from there. And like now living in Bavaria, it's so close to Austria. It's really cool because I'm like enjoying these dishes she made. Like my mom would make schnitzel all the time. We would have guests all the time. But then on the other hand, I went to an American school in Belgium, in Brussels. So I was growing up in a very American way and had teachers that had American accents and sort of doing an American curriculum. But I was living in Brussels, like in a Dutch neighborhood or a Flemish neighborhood. So yeah, it was really, really interesting to grow up that way. And I think it's always part of my identity crisis because when people hear my American accent, they sort of assume that I've grown up in America. And I know all the pop culture because we had this like network called Air Force Network. So it was like military affiliated. And so we watched a lot of the American shows. But I grew up in Europe and my mom's European. So even though I've spent 2/3 of my life in Europe, I have this American accent and played on the volleyball team and went to prom, went to middle school dances, listened to American music, and watched American TV and just sort of, yeah. It was a very interesting way to grow up, but it's really resulted in a massive identity crisis.
Do you feel... with the topic of identity crisis, do you feel more American or more German, or that's just like a big question mark?
Gosh, I think it depends on the day. Yeah, and probably depends on who I'm spending time with.
Yeah.
It's like sort of like a chameleon feeling in which like I have here even in Munich, I would say half my friends are German or even like more than half are German. And then my other close friends are American. So it's like I'm still just dealing with both of those cultures and I'm realizing those are the people I like typically have grown closest with. Probably just because those cultures I understand the best.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think on a day that I'm speaking a lot of German, spending time with a lot of Germans, probably feel more German. But then I guess it could be the opposite way too, because sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm not quite German enough or not American enough or whatever. So, yeah.
So let's take it back to your first day, like after you moved to Germany. You had never lived in Germany as an adult, right?
Yeah. Never.
And you moved actually from Colorado. What was that like? Did you feel like, oh, like my Heimat, like I'm home? Or was it just like, oh man, like I've got to get used to this? Because you had like the language there. What was that like?
Oh gosh. It's like, I think I felt more American because my job was in German. So I just remember like my first day on the job, or actually the first day was May 1st. So that was a day off. But the May 2nd, I just remember looking at the board and my whole team was German, all native Germans. The board just fully had German writing all over it. And I just remember looking up at it and I didn't understand anything. So I really just felt like a fish out of water. Like, what am I doing? I was working for the same company, but like the German version of it, the German subsidiary. And all my colleagues were either native Germans or local Bavarians. So I think I felt very not German because I was just so different. Most of my colleagues had, maybe visited America, but had never lived there. Yeah. And obviously they were preferential to speaking German. So I think I just didn't feel like I'm home. I felt like this is like half of me, but I don't identify with it at all. So yeah, it was really hard.
That was 7 years ago or so.
Yeah.
What does it feel like today?
Oh gosh. Now I definitely identify with it more, especially my German is fluent now. My understanding is fluent.
Girl.
Yeah.
Jawohl.
Yeah, jawohl. And yeah, it's I definitely feel like when I go to the US and I come home, it feels like home. And I can't imagine living in the United States, especially not right now. But yeah, what about you? Because you've been here longer than me.
Yeah. I mean, I always feel like to the day I die, like I'll be an American, regardless if I have this passport with me or not.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like it's just like a stamp on my forehead and like
Mm-hmm.
part of who I am. I feel like I could spend more time here in Germany than I did in the US, and like I would still be American.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I moved when I was 21, and I could be here, I don't know, 40 years, like double the amount, and like I will still, like that will always be part of me.
Yeah. Yeah, and I also do feel like it's a little bit, at least in Munich, I think it's different for the rest of Germany, but I think that, and it's kind of similar to Denver. Like Denver would always say like, oh, like, you know, the Denver natives, or like being a native was super important. I don't know if that's a thing in Texas, like being native, but that exists in Munich too. That exists in Munich too. And it's kind of like, oh, like, you know, you're not born and raised, like you're not a Münchner Kinder.
Yeah.
Like you're not from here. Whereas I think like in America, if you were a German and you'd moved to America and you'd been there for, I don't know, like 10 years, people would be like, oh, you're American. Whereas I don't know if that goes both ways, at least not in Munich.
I have a mug that like has the outline of Texas that says born and raised.
Yeah.
And there's like also bumper stickers in Texas that say like born and raised, but there's also a funny bumper sticker for the people who aren't that says like I wasn't born here, but I got here as soon as I could.
Oh, that's cute.
I find it super sweet.
And I feel like a lot of people feel that way about Munich as well. Like they're not from here, but they got here as soon as they could.
Like what catchy line do we have? Like people that like aren't Münchner Kindle, but like we have pride for this city.
We're Ausländer.
Right? Like we don't have any like special little, you know, like we need to market that.
Yeah.
We got to like give ourselves some kind of positioning. We have a stake in the city too.
Yeah. I mean, we definitely do.
That
taxes we're paying.
Yeah.
We definitely have some sort of stake.
A lot of those. Yeah. Moving on into the last segment on being pregnant in Germany.
Gosh. Yeah.
So first off, like I said, big congrats.
Thanks, girl.
I think it's so exciting in general. You're expecting a baby girl.
Yeah.
First question is, how are you?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm 24 weeks now. It's really wild to be going through such a big like life change or like critical life moment in, I don't know, what my husband would consider still like a foreign country. Yeah, we've been living here for 7 years. He doesn't speak German fluently, but I'm actually really good. Like pregnancy has been like I feel really blessed every day that it's been really easy actually. And I hope it continues that way because, you know, there's so many people that, you know, go through fertility issues or have their own, you know, stories with fertility. And so I'm so thankful and I hope that everything continues that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm good. I mean, having a baby girl. So on one hand, I'm really excited for that. On the other hand, being a girl is hard.
Yeah.
So luckily I have a lot of great female friends that are great role models. And so, yeah. And I always wanted a girl, so I'm excited to do all that girly stuff with her.
I love that. And being that it's your first time being pregnant, and it's funny calling Germany a foreign country, but in some ways it is. What are your first impressions of the German healthcare system? Just like, from your experience so far.
So, I mean, I think there's a lot of myths about healthcare in Europe and in Germany. I mean, I think
tell it to them.
The number of times I've heard Americans say like, "Oh yeah, you have free healthcare." Like it is not free.
I'm like, it is not free. Who told you it's free?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, like I always say Germany has the best publicist ever.
They do.
Because they say they're like the most efficient country, the most innovative.
True.
Like free healthcare. I'm like, all of these are lies.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is not free, but like it is good. And I really can't complain because in the US, I think the biggest fear, like the number of times I was sick or I got in a ski collision once and I didn't even go to the doctor, even though I had great insurance, but I was just so fearful of like the unknown, the unpredictable bill.
And that's with good insurance.
With good insurance. So that was always really scary. Crazy. Like one time I got a blood test taken and it was $400.
With insurance.
With good insurance.
My gosh. That's insane.
Yeah.
Just like something like unfathomable from Germans.
Yeah.
Right?
But I mean, I'm not super knowledgeable about this, so I don't want to get too into the weeds. But I mean, at least you have a deductible in the US. But I guess I was just always scared to go to the doctor because of the unpredictable bill.
Copay, even getting in to be seen.
Exactly. So that was not fun. Whereas here, I really feel, and it's probably a reason that the healthcare here is a little bit overwhelmed. Yeah. Because everyone goes to the doctor for everything. And I'm part of the problem. I mean, it's like anytime, something seems a little off, like I feel that it's my right to go to the doctor, and I go to the doctor because I know it's part of the whole, it's part of everything I pay for. And I know that I'm not going to be getting like some random unpredictable bill. And if I do, I mean, even with pregnancy here, like there are all these little bills that you do have to pay for. And I'm actually surprised some of the things that aren't actually included that you do have to pay for out of pocket, like extra testing or whatever, things that you would just assume would be paid for, that everyone has access to that, especially for the amount that we're paying in taxes, that aren't. So my experience has been good, but sometimes, of course, like dental, that's something that has just blown my mind here. Like the dental, it's all about preventative. Like nothing is covered until there's a problem. So it's like if you have terrible like mouth health, then your cleaning is free. If your teeth are clean, you have to pay for it. So it's all like dental is just all preventative here, which I do not understand at all. And I really hope that changes.
Has there been like in the context of getting care as a pregnant woman, has there been any surprises or confusion in general? Like that you're just like, what? Like, oh, in the US, I thought it would be like this.
So I feel like something that surprised me is, and it's a great thing, but also no one told me, and I just happened to find out by doing research, is that you are actually entitled to a midwife through your pregnancy. But because of this, there's actually a massive shortage of them. So there's this joke in Germany that the second you see a positive pregnancy test, you should start looking for a midwife.
And a kindergarten.
Yeah, we haven't started that yet, and it's giving me anxiety because I should probably start. So you are entitled to a midwife. And
what's the midwife's role?
So
I'm not like super familiar with that.
So the like gynecologist or whatever, those, you have those meetings with them about once a month, but they're really like in and out. They're very methodical. Like you kind of just go in, you get your urine sample. If it's time for an ultrasound, you do that, but most of the time it's like urine test, blood pressure, in and out. And it's not very in detail. Whereas the midwife, you have an hour-long appointment with them. They start to get to know you as a person. You can ask them all the questions you have. You can do one-on-one birthing courses and lactation courses with them. And then after, this is the best part, is after the baby's born, they actually come visit you at home every single day for like the first 1.5 months. Wow. So they weigh the baby. They will help you with breastfeeding if you need the help. They'll give you basically all the tips that you'd need in aftercare. Whereas in the US, I think you have to pay for that. Like I don't have any friends. I have a lot of friends that have children, and that's something that you have to pay for. I mean, as we said, we do pay for it, but it's great
but not on top of normal health insurance
and
costs.
Not on top of it. And it's and that's something that why there's such a shortage of them, because you kind of have to start looking for one in your area like as soon as, I would say. And I only happened to find out because I was reading an article on like being an American having a baby in Germany, and then it talked about looking for a midwife, and I was like, wait a second, my gynecologist never mentioned this.
What?
So
that's crazy. I feel like sometimes in Germany, they just like assume that you know everything.
Literally.
Crazy.
So you have to kind of...
You didn't know. And you're just like, okay, well, I have to ask about this now.
You have to be your own advocate a lot. And so had I not done that research, I wouldn't have known. Then there's like a site called like Amelie.de, and that's what I use to find the midwife, which were called Hebames. My husband actually called them Harambes for a long time. But yeah, no, Hebame is like the name for midwife. And so now I see her like kind of like alternating. Like I'll see my doctor and then I'll see her the like next 2 weeks. And then she'll go through like any of the results of tests I've done or ultrasounds, or she'll like listen for the baby's heartbeat. And she just does a more in-depth and builds that relationship, especially because she'll be visiting me every day after the birth.
Wow. And you said there's a shortage of them right now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, pretty much like just like there's a shortage of kindergartens.
Yeah.
So anything that's sort of like part of the government, there's a shortage, just like doctors. I mean, privately insured people get seen quicker and get a specialist. And unfortunately.
Was it hard for you to find her? Or did you have to like apply to many? Or...
Yes, I did. Yeah. I emailed probably like 12.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
and some of them are just like, oh,
they're already booked.
I have too many.
Yeah.
Booked and busy. Crazy.
And even mine, she'll be out getting like a surgery. So I think the first week, someone else will be seeing me. So.
But I love that they have that like already squared off, taken care of.
It's definitely a huge benefit. And so that's been really great. Maybe some other surprises through pregnancy I would just say like really like trying to inform yourself on things like vaccinations, etc., that you want to take. Or I'm part of this like 2025 mommies and babies in Munich, and so it's just like a WhatsApp group where people are asking questions and about like supplements and things you should take and all sorts of stuff. So it's really just like I think that's the case for anyone moving somewhere that's new. I mean, getting out of your comfort zone, joining groups.
Yeah.
Just trying to find people in your situation that can offer advice.
Absolutely. So you speak about, this Facebook group. And I think you've mentioned that you also like on a walk once, like met another like mom to be in the neighborhood. Do you feel supported right now in that sense? And like, how has it been like trying to find community and like make friends who are also like moms to be?
It's actually like I haven't really spent a ton of time. I mean, meeting the other mom and the other couple that are also due around when we are, it just happened like it was very serendipitous that we just met each other and like we're the same age and it's her first, it's my first, and like we all get along super well. I think there'll be lots of time during maternity leave to join mom groups, but right now I'm still working, so I don't really have a ton of time to be like joining groups, meeting tons of people. So I think like once you know I have a healthy baby, everything goes well, then I'd probably focus more on like meeting more moms and finding that. And like most of my friends for the most part in Munich don't have children. It's not in the cards for them yet. Maybe they're not even interested. Yeah. But yeah, I guess I haven't really spent a ton of time with that. And I'm really hoping my mom will also move closer to Munich. Yeah. So that'll be one more support person and ideally like babysitter to ensure that still retain some of my old life.
You said that you'll have more time on maternity leave.
Yeah.
Which leads into the next section. Can we talk about paternity leave in general? And I think it's so crazy because now we're switching up words. You said maternity and I now said paternity, which like I didn't even know like that men, when I first moved to Germany and like some guy in my office that I was working at was like, oh, I'm taking off. I was just like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Like, I just couldn't understand that, like, wow, like, I guess, like, men should be involved as fathers of their child. That was just crazy. Can you tell us, like, all about what you've learned? And I mean, just, like, with a grain of salt, knowing that, like, you're not a professional. These are all just personal experiences.
Yeah.
What do we need to know?
I mean, I do think the U.S. is getting a lot better here. I mean, honestly, the maternity leave that I would get in the US with my company is quite similar to what I'm getting here.
But on a company basis.
On a company basis. And it is it's like on a company basis in the US as well. Like I know males that are getting 12 weeks off of paid, 100% paid paternity leave in the US. But here in Germany, it you actually get up to 3 years of maternity leave, or like they call it Elternzeit, which is like parental leave, up until the child is 9 years old. So 3 years of leave, and now, unfortunately, probably for many people and like people that live in Munich, the lifestyle, and it's so expensive to live here. So obviously, cost of living sort of aligns with that, and salaries. But they recently just passed a law around income thresholds, and it used to be 300,000 of household income, and now, I believe as of this April, it will be 175,000 for household income combined between, you know, the two partners, or if you're a single mother. And then by next April, it'll be down to 150. So it used to be 300,000. By next April, it'll be 150,000. So if you live in Munich and you and your partner, you know, do well for yourselves, it's very likely that you actually won't qualify for paid maternity leave. But what is definitely just mandated for everyone in Germany is Mutterschutz, which means like mother protection, which is 100% if you work for a company. So 100% of paid leave 6 weeks before your due date, and then 8 weeks after your due date, and 12 weeks if you have a C-section. Wow. So, I mean, it's not a ton of time, actually. That's something I'm actually pretty disappointed in. It's only 14 weeks of like maternal protection, government mandated and government supported. And I do think, especially in Munich, like I think because this law just was recently passed like 2 years ago, I really hope, I hope that companies in Munich will start to subsidize or like support mothers going on leave, because it's really, it's kind of disappointing just to like work so hard and study and, you know, become a successful woman, and then, you know, go do this wonderful thing and have a child and get, you know, after that 14 weeks, nothing towards your income, which you're used to receiving. So, yeah, for me, I'm not 100% if that will be the case, but it's probably likely that we won't have any support. And, you know, going forward, if anyone's having children in the next few years, it's very unlikely. So, yeah, that's something I've been sort of disappointed to find out, because Germany just gets promoted. Again, Germany having this great publicist as a great place to, like, move and have children. And for the most part, that is true, because most of Germany will not be affected by this income threshold.
Unless you live in a very expensive city.
Yeah, unless you live in probably Hamburg or Munich or even Stuttgart, like places that have good jobs, and but cost of living super expensive. So it's not for nothing.
Yeah. After these 14 weeks, though, do you have any protections? Like, how is it that moms are like, oh, I'm gone for a year and then I'll be back at work?
So your job is secured. That is something that is unlike the US. So my job is secured. I could take 3 years off if I wanted.
Unpaid.
Yeah.
And then like legally you can return to that
Legally
job.
I can return, and actually I'm able to return. I'm able to request like part-time. So I don't have to even return at full-time. Your employer does have to like try it. As far as I'm aware, I'm not, you know, don't quote me, I'm not like a full expert on this.
HR consultant.
Yes. But I'm pretty sure that you can then request like, you know, 20 hours a week or however many. So you can sort of, and it's allowing women to transition back into the workforce, but not do that full time. And I think that's what a lot of women do. Yeah. Is they don't immediately go full time. But yeah, I don't know what that will look like for me. I mean, I think I'll probably take 12 months off. It's really hard to find kindergartens before that. But who knows? I mean, maybe my husband will take that time off instead. Like, I don't know what that will look like, but I think there's a lot of flexibility in Germany, which definitely does not exist everywhere.
Yeah.
And definitely not in the US, I don't think.
So with everything that you've learned in the last 6 months and even before, what would you say, what piece of advice like would you have to give to women right now here in Germany that are curious about having a child?
Oh gosh. Start saving.
You got to get that money.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've started like setting aside an area where we're like, okay, for this time where we're not going to be, where I won't have an income.
Yeah.
Like now we're just setting aside more money for that time. So yeah, definitely start saving, inform yourself, because I speak to so many women that do want to have children that aren't aware of these changes because they've just heard, you know, oh, you can take a year off, it's paid. So just make sure that you're informed about that before you make that decision and what that means. It's not all just like
benefits and
yeah, exactly. There's no such thing as a free lunch. And yeah, so start saving and probably inform yourself. And obviously make sure you're in a committed and supported relationship, because being a single parent is really hard. So that's for men or women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for that piece of advice. I wanted to, I think it can benefit anyone who's curious about that. One of my friends last week was saying that she was, I think, reading some books like on parenting, and she was just saying like, oh, it's crazy how some people just like have kids and like, you know, like you do research like when you want to buy a car, right? Yeah. Like you do research like when you want to go on vacation. Yeah. But like, shouldn't you also like do research before like if you want to have a kid or not? And I was like, yeah, true. Like, that's cool. Like, I'm glad you're reading books, girl.
Does she have a child, or is she just like reading to see what it's like?
Just curious.
Wow.
Yeah, reading.
Yeah, I mean, I think before we decided, I mean, obviously not everyone has the luxury of planning when you're going to have your child. But yeah, I think it's super important to go into it knowingly, because yeah, not everyone out there should probably be parents.
Yeah. So. And like
hard.
Also, I was speaking to a parent who has a mom who has one child, and she said like, I mean, you can choose to be like, parenting can be easy if you're a bad parent. Yeah. She said like you can be a bad mom. Yeah. And then it can be easy.
Exactly.
But like being a good mom is hard. Right?
Yeah. But we don't always need to be good moms.
Yeah. You can be a bad mom.
Yeah, every exactly. I mean, like, okay, we need some balance here.
Of course. No, perfectionism is a killer.
Exactly. Say that to all the Germans listening.
Yeah.
You don't need to be perfect.
No. And like, I think, another one of my mom friends, Dasom, she once told me that she was reading all these books, and she said, you know, like every day I try so hard to like not scar my child, so like she doesn't have childhood trauma, and that she was just like, you know what, like she's gonna probably have childhood trauma, regardless.
It's inevitable.
She can just like, you can only like try your best, like your absolute best, and like that's gotta be it. Like,
yeah, I think something I'm looking forward to is just like having even more appreciation for what my like what our mothers have done.
Seriously.
Because I do think like for most of our lives, we just kind of take it for granted. I mean, obviously, as we get older, we have more appreciation for sacrifice, etc. But it's no joke. I mean, if my husband could, you know, carry the baby, I say it's like having a baby is like a team project. Like we all get the credit, but like one person does 95% of the work. So I wish we could like switch that around and he could do 95% of the work.
Yeah. I'm all in favor.
Yeah, right? So
on a more positive note, what are you most excited about?
Oh, I don't know. Like, just like, I think just exploring, like seeing the world through new eyes. I think like as we get older, we just start to take a lot of things for granted. And I recently, like in the UK, just spent Christmas with my nieces and lots of little cousins. And the way that little children experience Christmas and the holidays is just like so special. And I think that little children just see things with, fresh eyes. They've never experienced it before. So even the most mundane things can become special and like hold special memories, and also remind us of like good memories that we've had that we've just forgotten about, or things that we played with, games, etc. So that's what I think, that's the biggest thing I'm excited about.
I love that. I'm excited to meet her.
I know. She's going to be a cutie.
Yeah.
I hope.
What do you mean you hope?
I hope. I mean, babies.
You just never know.
Babies are hit or miss. They look funky. They're like little aliens.
They say there is no ugly child in the eyes of a mother.
Oh man, I wonder if I'll
can relate.
I know.
I want to finish off this episode with a little hot or not section.
Oh.
So you tell me if you agree with it,
okay.
hot or not. And just like on a complete tangent, the first statement. What about the food scene in Munich versus the U.S.?
Not.
Ooh, okay. The brunch scene.
Terrible. I mean, yeah. Food, I mean, not obviously the whole US, but like Denver, San Francisco, DC, New York City. I mean, the food is just like, I just think the US, like bad places do not stay in business. Here,
they're thriving.
They're doing just fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't think there's a ton of like differentiation.
Yeah.
It's like kind of all the same.
I agree.
And if there's one good place, it's impossible to get in. So,
I feel that.
But I also have heard the reason it's so bad in Munich is the rent is just insane. People can't afford to open up these places. And
that's sad.
Yeah, and it's also like the pay is terrible. The taxes are terrible. So
there's no incentive.
There's no incentive. I truly do think being a small business owner in the U.S. is just more
lucrative
and worth the time.
Next one is having your trips for the whole year planned ahead. Hot or not?
Hot and not. It's nice to know what you're looking forward to, and also you can capitalize on better deals by booking things far in advance.
Save that money.
And also you can put it in your calendar so your colleagues know when you're going to be gone, but not because it's also nice to throw a few spontaneous ones. So I would say like a mix, like have some big trips planned, but then also have some spontaneous ones in there.
Next one is, in general, comments on Instagram. What's the vibe?
Hot. Regardless if they're good or bad. All publicity. No publicity is bad publicity.
Love that.
Yeah.
The haters are the motivators.
Yeah, and engagement's good.
Yeah.
So yes, hot for comments.
Yeah, but there's been good vibes.
Oh right? Yeah, definitely for the most part.
And then making friends with Münchner, which is like people from Munich kids.
Hot.
Yeah.
Love them. They know, like, so many of our close friends are Münchner Kinder.
Really? So you've tapped in.
Oh, yeah. We've tapped in.
I love that.
Yeah, they know, they know the places to go. They know the day trips. They know where to go and where not to go. And honestly, the fun part is, like, showing them, like, what we've discovered. Because sometimes, like, from our perspective, we've discovered something they haven't.
Yeah.
And ironically, like, most of our Münchner Kinder friends all speak like native level English or like, well, not native level, but fluent.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, they all speak English. So I can't even say we're speaking German with them, but yeah.
Very cool. And then the last one, becoming a mom in your 30s.
Oh, well, I would say hot because it's kind of the last time you can.
Yeah.
I guess some women are having children in their 40s. But yeah, I mean, I honestly, I don't think there's a hot or not for that. I think it's like whenever is right for you. If you want to do it in your 20s, if you want to do it in your teens.
Like to each their own.
Yeah.
In their teens, Anika.
I don't know.
Girl.
Sometimes you don't have a choice. Sometimes it happens.
Okay. No, that's sensitive.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you don't have a choice. Like if it was a bad situation.
No, not in that way. Not like if you don't have a choice. I mean, like some people, like 19-year-olds do want to have children.
And you like, that's hot for them.
Yeah, if that's what they want. I mean, I do think if you're in a small town and everyone's having children when you're young and that's the norm, like hot. Yeah, great for you.
To each their own.
Yeah,
I love that.
If that's what you want and that's what you and your partner have decided and you guys can afford to have a child and you're ready to. Yeah, I mean, I can say for myself, I definitely was not mature enough to have a child at 19, but that's not to say
someone else
isn't.
Yeah. I feel like we're the worst friends because, like, I think both of our personality types is like that. Like, oh, like, whatever makes you happy. Like, I don't know. I could be like, Anika, like, what should I do? And you just like, like whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
And like I'm there like following bad decisions.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely like have my opinions. Like but at the same time, it's like, well, I don't really know their lives. I don't know what they really want. Like, would I have a child in my teens? No.
Yeah.
Would I have had a child in my 20s? Maybe if I hadn't moved to Germany, because most of my friends in Denver, Colorado, all super successful people, women, like, did. And they're, you know, perfectly happy and fine. Probably would have had, I think it also depends on, like, who you're surrounded with and what the culture around that is. Whereas in Munich, most people are having children later.
Absolutely. And I think that's a beautiful thing, too.
Totally. Yeah. In fact, I feel young to have, I'm like a teen mom, basically.
I love that.
At 32.
Love that 32-year-old energy.
Yeah. It was planned, y'all.
Anika, thank you so much. For having a great time here. I had a ball.
Me too. Thanks so much for my time on the pod abroad.
Yeah. And for anyone listening, thanks for tuning in with us. And until next week. The Pod Abroad's video, audio, and music is produced and edited by Tim Teherne. Make sure to give us a follow and leave a comment if you like this episode.